Hello, Magic fans, Captain Skittles. Today we're going to be diving into these legends and planeswalkers that we found in the 10 pounds of Magic cards that my brother gave me to sort through and make into something. But first, we got to thank our subscribers that subscribed on days 5 through 6, and that is Dragon Horde. Remember that every single person on this list is getting a custom Magic card, and the first 300 of you guys, which right now on this list I have 80 of 300, I will be making a custom Magic the Gathering set, and I will be printing them if I get 1,000 subscribers. That's the current goal. If I get 1,000 subscribers, I will print off some cards. And I have plans to maybe print off like a pre-con commander deck based off of these cards, but that will all be said in the future. Let's dive into today's real content and let's look at these guys. So going through all this, we had a bunch of legendary creatures and planeswalkers, and we want to make commander decks first because they are a lot larger, and I am mainly a commander player. But we have Tazagur the Golden Fang, which is really cool. You can put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you can return a non-land card of an opponent's choice from your graveyard to your hand. It's a really interesting legend, probably not commander worthy. But then there's this guy, the Sachi daughter of Seshiro. She's a snake shaman. Other snakes you control get +0/+1. Shamans you control have tap, add 2 mana of any color to your mana pool. This would be really cool for like a snake or shaman tribal. Then we have Chandra, Heart of the Fire. This one's really cool. It can't be a commander, but it's just a really cool legendary planeswalker. Then we have Samut the Tested. Can't be a commander, but it's another cool legendary planeswalker. Then we have Dovin the Grand Arbiter, another mythic rare legendary planeswalker. It's a really cool one. This one creates Thopters and you gain life from it just for a -1, which is really good in my opinion. Then we have Kurkesh Onaki Ancient. It's definitely a commander for something. Whenever you activate an ability of an artifact, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay red. If you do, copy that ability, which is really good for artifact decks. Maybe not like a main commander, but you definitely can put that in as something later on. Isperia the Indestructible. Whenever Isperia the Indestructible does combat damage to a player, name a card. The player reveals his or her hand. If he or she reveals the named card, search your library for a creature card. When flying, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. This is not a good commander, I don't think, because with commander decks, you have so many cards that are just different. And so if this was going in like a modern or standard deck, it'd probably be better. And then you have Isperia Supreme Judgment. Whenever a creature attacks or you or a planeswalker you control, you may draw a card. This is good for drawing decks, and you can use this to make creatures attack you, and you can draw a lot of cards. But I don't know if that's really the style of Azorius, so maybe not a good commander, maybe like in the 100. Then Joda, Archmage Eternal. You may pay 5 rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. This is an okay card in my opinion. I think Joda is a little overhyped, but this one here might be a good commander if you have a lot of high cost spells. So let's say you're playing a Wooburg Stomp style deck where you want to get really powerful cards out really fast. If you have Wooburg and you have a bunch of expensive cards in your hand, you can play your commander and you can tap out the Wooburg and put something really big onto the battlefield. For example, Zakama, you can put Zakama out for just Wooburg. You can put Gishath out for Wooburg. You can put Earthquake Dragon out for Wooburg. Those are just some examples. Next, we have Lathless Dragon Queen. This is a really good mono red dragon commander, in my opinion. I really like this one. It says whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying, and then you can also buff your dragons. This one also is the holofoil version. I really like this one. So this one's probably going to end up becoming a commander, more than likely. And we have another 2 Tazigers. And next we have the Scanos Dragonheart. This one, whenever Scanos Dragonheart attacks, it gets +X until end of turn, where X is the greatest power among other dragons you control and dragon cards in your graveyard. So this one would be a really good commander damage style dragon deck, or just a green dragon deck, and this one could be a very good commander. Now, I have a thing for uncommon commanders, as you guys see in my Renata videos, because Renata is an uncommon. And I like the uncommons because sometimes they have some of the best abilities, like Scanos here, because if you were wanting to do something like I'm doing with Renata, you could definitely build a Renata style deck around Scanos Dragonheart and make it more of a dragon tribal. So I'm considering putting that one as a commander as well. Next, we have this really nice etched version of Glunch the Bestower. And I really like the fact that they have jellyfish in Magic. I think it's a really interesting creature type. Then it has at the beginning of your end step, choose a player, they put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control. Choose a second player to draw a card, then choose a third player to create 2 treasure tokens. So this one's definitely like a group hug style commander if it were to be a commander. And I'm not sure how I would work around this, but it's really cool. It could be something really interesting. Next, we have Jan Jensen, Chaos Crafter. It has haste. It's a gnome artificer. Sacrifice an artifact creature, create 2 treasure tokens. Sacrifice a non-creature artifact, create 2 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens. This one's okay. It's Mardu. Mardu's a good color combination. It might be a good commander in some senses, but it's probably not going to be my priority. Alundo the Seer, Simic. You can tap, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand. Put a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. It gains when the last time counter is removed from this card. If it's exiled, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you cast a creature spell this way, it gains haste until end of turn. Then remove a time counter from each other card you own in exile. So this one, every single time you tap this, you remove a time counter. So this one would be really interesting because you could put a Kelpie guide with this, and you can tap it, untap it, tap it again. Then you could do some other cards that will untap it, tap it, untap it, tap it. And so you have a bunch of setup with things that will tap and untap this. And you could totally get some things out of your hand real easy in one turn without paying any mana, really, unless some of those tap to untap cards require mana. And so this would be something interesting to look at. I think that would be good. Next, we have Raga Draga Gorguts Boss. This one, each creature you control with a mana ability gets +2/+2. And whenever a creature you control with a mana ability attacks, untap it. Whenever you cast a spell, if it's at least 7 mana was spent to cast it, untap target creature. It gets +7/+7 and gains trample until end of turn. So this is a real interesting commander look. I'm interested in making this into a commander, but I'm just not sure that there are enough mana ability cards in this 10-pound collection. And so I think I'm going to put that one on the back burner for now. Next we have Allura, Merry Thief. Whenever you attack, up to one target attacking creature can't be blocked this turn. Return that creature to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. This is good, but I'm pretty sure that this one would go in the 99 of commander decks instead of the commander. Mainly because if you're wanting to do anything with it, you'd have to return it to your hand sometimes because you might only have Allura on the battlefield. Next, we have Commander Liara Portier. Whenever you attack, spells you cast from exile this turn cost X less to cast, where X is the number of players being attacked. Exile the top X cards of your library until end of turn. You may cast spells from among those exiled cards. Sorry. Just woke up. So this one's interesting. So all of our spells, like if we're playing against 3 other people, we could possibly get spells that are 3 cheaper. This one was another one that would probably go in the 99 of decks. Then we have Rilsa, Rail Kingpin. It has Death Touch. When Rilsa, Rail Kingpin enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. So in Baldur's Gate, that's just, I can't remember exactly, but I think it like draws you a card or something like that. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. If you've completed a dungeon, that creature gets +5/+0 and gains first strike and menace until end of turn. So this one would be a very good like combat-based Dimir deck. This one's quite interesting. It's possible that it might turn into a commander one day, but that would definitely have to be based around taking the initiative and completing dungeons. Then there is Duke Alder Ravengard. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and myriad until end of turn. This one would be really interesting, but I'm not sure this one would go in the one spot for commander. It's pretty much going to go in the 99 in my opinion. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst. Then we have Ilminster. It can be your commander. Whenever you scry, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn costs X less to cast, where X is the number of cards you looked at while scrying this way. And then his +2, you can, yawning again. Draw a card, scry 2. And so you can use this at the beginning of your first main phase, and then all of instant or sorcery spells, or your first instant or sorcery spell after that is 2 less to cast, just by having him on the battlefield and using his +2. Then there's -3, exile the top card of your library, create a number of 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature tokens with flying equal to the card's mana value. And so this one, you can +2, then -3. So let's say you do not have the mana for something that is really expensive and it's on top of your library, but you want to at least use it. And so you can scry it if you find it, then you can exile it and create a bunch of 1/1 blue fairies. So let's say in this deck specifically, I have, let's just say I have Metalwork Colossus, which is 11 mana. I scry, I have a Metalwork Colossus on top of my library, and I only have 6 mana. Well, I can't really do anything with that 6 mana, so the next turn I will exile it and create a bunch of fairies. And then if you put Mondrak and Anointed Procession in this, then you can just double and double all those tokens. So this one would be really cool to put as a commander. Then we have another Laughless Dragon Queen. It's another one of those hollow foil ones. Next we have Bontu the Glorified. Bontu the Glorified can't attack or block unless a creature died. And then you can sacrifice and each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Definitely not one that would be a main commander, but definitely a good one for the 99. Next we have Rutha Mercurial Artist. You can pay 2 to return Rutha Mercurial Artist to its owner's hand. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. So this one's a good one that might be interesting to see some play, but it's definitely not the priority list. Then Ovika, Enigma Goliath. I have a commander deck based around this commander. It's not the greatest. I wouldn't say that if I were doing something here, I would want it to be as the commander. I think it'd go better in the 99. Next, we have Mishra, claimed by Gix. This one is a really good commander because whenever you attack, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of attacking creatures. If Mishra, claimed by Gix, and a creature named Phyrexian Dragon Engine are attacking, and you both own and control them, exile them and meld them into Mishra, lost to Phyrexia as it enters the battlefield, tapped and attacking. And then we have the other side right here, Mishra, lost to Phyrexia. So this one is a really, really interesting and good Rakdos commander deck that should and want to swing out with commander damage. Sadly, I do not have a Dragon Engine in this 10 pounds of Magic cards, and so this one probably won't be made into a commander deck, but it definitely is a good notable mention for great commanders. Then we have this legendary creature, Toad Rider. It's a Sultai, and whenever you cast an enchantment spell, if you don't control a creature named Kaimi, create Kaimi, a legendary 3/3 black and green frog creature token with whenever you cast an enchantment spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Then you can pay 2 Tsunami Toad Rider, and target frog you control can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with flying or reach. So this one's really cool. This one might be a good Sultai enchantment based deck if you made it into commander. I don't think I'm gonna prioritize that though, because I've already got these that are, in my opinion, much better. Traxos, Scourge of Krug. Traxos, Scourge of Krug enters the battlefield tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever you cast historic spell, untap him. So this guy, he's not a really good commander. He's definitely a 99 style card. Then we have Brutaclad, Telcor Engineer. Creature tokens you control have haste at the beginning of combat. On your turn, create a 2/1 Phyrexian, blue Phyrexian Myr, artifact creature token. Then you may choose a token you control. If you do, each other token you control becomes a copy of that token. So this one would be a really interesting commander. Blue and red don't have very much token creation, but if you do have a bunch of tokens to create with blue and red, so like a lot of goblins and a lot of fairies and a lot of like rogues, like blue rogues, you can definitely turn these all into a token copy of something bigger, because I believe that blue can make some token copies of stuff. And so this one is would be a really great commander. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it though, so I'm going to put it here. Ivy, Gleeful Spell Thief. Whenever a player casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than Ivy, Gleeful Spell Thief, you may copy that spell. The copy targets Ivy. So this one is a real interesting... Sorry. Yawning again. This one's a really interesting commander. So this one would... I'd be interested to see how this one turns out, especially with other people playing single targets on their creatures. And so that one would be really cool to look at, maybe. I don't think it's going to make it with what I have, but it's a good one. Then we have Una, Queen of the Fae. Choose a color when you pay some mana. Target opponent exiles the top X cards of their library. For each card of the chosen color exiled this way, create a 1/1 blue and black fairy rogue creature token with flying. So, going back to Brutaclad real quick. Sorry, I just noticed this. These two compare together pretty well because you only need blue mana to cast Una, and you can put it in here. Same thing down here, you only need blue. And so, if you make a bunch of 1/1 blue fairies, you can then turn them into 2/1 Phyrexian Blue Murs with Brutaclad. So that's interesting. Once again, this one's probably not a commander, but this one's more along the lines of a 99, in my opinion. But that one might be interesting to look at as far as combos with something like Brutaclad or even Elminster, because they both create fairies. Next is Joira, Weatherlight Captain. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. This one might be interesting because then you can get a lot of draw out of it. But it's probably, in my opinion, a 99 card instead of a commander. Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. At the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to Valduk, Keeper of the Flame, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. So this one's a really good game changer in my opinion, because let's say you have a bunch of artifacts on the battlefield, you cast this guy, you equip them all to him, and then you swing out and you can totally annihilate someone with a bunch of 3/1s. Depending on certain circumstances, it's not the best game changer, but it could be. It could be. That's that matters. But I once again do not think that this one would be a good commander. It's definitely going to go in the 99 of an artifact deck. Geth, Lord of the Vault. It has Intimidate, which means it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it. The fact that this has Intimidate already makes it a good commander damage commander. But then you can pay a certain amount to put target artifact or a creature card with mana value X from an opponent's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control tapped. Then that player mills X cards. That in and of itself is a good thing. And I would like to see if that one can become a commander. So this one would be on my top list. Naomi, Pillar of Order. Whenever Naomi, Pillar of Order enters the battlefield or attacks, if you control an artifact and an enchantment, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance. This one's a little too limiting with the and an enchantment. If it was just artifact or enchantment, this would be way better. But Naomi, Pillar of Order would probably go in the 99 of some artifact or enchantment decks. Next, we have Ashnod, Flesh Mechanist. Well, whenever Ashnod, Flesh Mechanist attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, create a tapped Power Stone token. Then you can pay 5 to exile a creature card from your graveyard, create a tapped 3/3 colorless zombie artifact creature token. So this one, it's good, but it would go in the 99 of some graveyard style decks, because we can have better abilities with stuff in the graveyard, in my opinion. Next, we have Torgar, Famine Incarnate. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature sacrificed this way. When Torgar Flame Incarnate enters the battlefield, up to one target player's life total becomes half their starting life total, rounded down. So this one's an interesting one. I have a card like this too, and I've used it in the 99 of some of my decks. And it's not really the best for a commander, but it would be a really good commander if you had like 3 creatures to sacrifice, then you sacrificed this itself, then it came back to your hand, and then you cast it again, and then you just, like, if you could get a deck, a mono black deck that would just recycle this card like at least 3 times in one turn, that would be a real good one. But other than that, it's going in the 99 pile. Isamru, Hound of Khanda. Not much to say here, it's just a little legendary dog, so it'll go in 99 pile. Then we have Rhoda, Geist Avenger. You can partner it with Timon, Youthful Geist, which I don't know if I have in this stack. But then whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, put a +1/+1 counter on Rhoda, Geist Avenger. So this one would be a really interesting mechanic to see happen, especially when you partner it. But I don't think I'm going to have the capability of doing that quite yet. Denal, Herald of the Wings. Whenever you cast a non-legendary creature spell with flying, you may copy it, except it's a copy. The copy is a 1/1 spirit in addition to its other types. Do this only once a turn. So this one would be really interesting in some spirit tribal. This one's also a hollow foil, so it's pretty interesting. I don't think that this one would be main commander, but it definitely could be in the 99 of spirit decks that have blue. Next we have, here's Timon Youthful Geist. So I'll start with that. Timon Youthful Geist partners with Rhoda Geist Avenger. At the beginning of each combat, tap up to one target creature. Okay, so that's a pretty good combo right there. I might have to look into that. You know what? I'm gonna put these guys over here and see if I can make something out of them. Next, we have Radagast the Brown. Whenever Radagast the Brown or another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is that creature's mana value. You may reveal the creature card that doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control from among those cards and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. That's a lot of text. So this one would be really good. I just thought of a combo. I did a recent video looking at some modern cards that I haven't looked at in forever. And there's Nethergoyf in there. So if there was a Gruul commander, you put this and Nethergoyf in there, you could totally figure out how to get a bunch of cards with different types, because this one relies on cards of different types, and Nethergoyf does as well. And so that would be a really interesting combo, but this one's probably not going to be a commander. Then we have a Selesnya, Emil the Blessed. Exile another target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So this one would be really good for ETBs. And then whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay hybrid mana. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If it's a unicorn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it instead. We might get some unicorn tribal if I have enough unicorns. I'll have to look. Kyodai, Soul of Kamigawa. It's a Wooburg. When Kyodai, Soul of Kamigawa enters the battlefield, another target permanent gains indestructible for as long as you control Kyodai. And then you can pay Wooburg to give him +5/+5. So this one might be like a good support card for your commander, because you can give your commander indestructible, or you can be a support card for like your game changer if it's a creature. If this went in a deck of mine, it would probably be a commander damage deck, to be honest, because then I can make my commander indestructible, and then I could figure out a way to give this hexproof, indestructible, or whatever. But it's definitely not something that I would make as my commander. Then we have Silas Wren, Seeker Adept. Whenever he attacks, whenever he deals combat damage to a player, choose target artifact card in my graveyard and may cast that card this turn. That would be good. We can put in Rogue's Passage, make this guy unblockable, and you can just, bring back good artifacts. That one might be an interesting one to look at in the future, if there's enough. Then Heiko Yamazaki, the General. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may cast target artifact card from your graveyard this turn. That's another one just like Silas. Geist of Saint Traft. Hexproof. Whenever Geist of Saint Traft attacks, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying that's tapped and attacking. Exile that token at the end of combat. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. So this one would be good because then you can have like spirit ETBs. And so that one might be interesting to look at. D00DL, I don't even know. We can, when he enters the battlefield, we create a sketch creature token, which you have 15 seconds to draw. The token has flying if it has wings in its art. The same is true for first strike with a sword, vigilance, and a shield, menace, and mean eyes. trample and horns, death touch and claws, lifelink and fangs, and haste and footwear. Okay. This one would be really interesting because let's say we just want a bunch of mana to cast our commander, then return it to our hand, cast it, return it, cast it, return it, cast it, return it, cast it, return it, and just makes a bunch of random infinite tokens, and then we have something like a token doubler that will just double them and double them. I don't know how that would work with colorless though, so we'll look at it maybe and we'll see what happens. Then we have Cole, the Forge Master. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, return it to its owner's hand. Create a creature tokens you control that are enchanted or equipped get +1/+1. So this is a good equipment and token deck. This one would be really cool to look at. We have a third Lathless Dragon Queen. Then we have a Tameshi Reality Architect. It's Azorius. Whenever one or more non-creature permanents are triggered, to return to hand, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. And then you can return a land you control to its owner's hand, return target artifact or enchantment card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. That would be really good for some enchantments in Azorius. I don't think I have the capability of making it good though. Then we have Kaho Minamo, Historian. When he enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 3 instant cards, exile them, then shuffle. You may cast a spell with mana value extra from among the exiled cards with Kaho without paying its mana cost. That's really interesting. I don't think it'd be a good commander though. It might go in the 99. Then we have this guy. This is looks like a pre-con pair here. When Millicent Restless Revenant, this spell costs 1 less to cast for each spirit you control. That's interesting. That might be something good, especially for Spirit Tribal, you know. Whenever Millicent Restless Revenant or another non-token spirit you control dies or deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Sorry, excuse me. This one might be a good one to work on. This one has like that staple commander tribal ability, so we might look at that one. And we have an etched Mishra Eminent one. I don't think I'd use that as an actual commander deck. And then I think that's it. Let's look through this and make sure. Yeah, that's it. So these are our legends and planeswalkers. Here are the 6 that I think I'm going to try and turn into commander decks. We have one partner, Azorius, with Rhoda and Timon. We've got Geth in mono black. We have another Azorius with Elminster as a planeswalker. Mono red dragons and mono green dragons, as well as a Simic style deck. So let me know what you think about these commanders. Hopefully you were able to get through all of them. There are a lot of legendary creatures that I found in this 10 pounds of magic. But otherwise, thanks for tuning in, you Magic fans. I'll see you in the next one. Let me know if I should do a price of all of these things for you if you want to know how much all of these guys are. And once again, I'll see you in the next one. Like and subscribe.